us as people, we weren't put on this earth to, live the way that we're currently living. You could argue that life has no purpose, and we as humans ourselves should dictate how, we create purpose throughout our lives. For me, I don't think life should be lived this way, with people waking up, going to their jobs, risking their health and doing things for, a dollar, for wages, When you go out and explore life and you go see nature, and you hang out with friends and stuff, you go to school, maybe you don't like school. Me particularly, I don't like school, It's not because I'm just, I don't want to do my work. I just don't believe, life should be lived that way, with people risking their lives, not being able to afford rent or stuff like that, because there's problems that are like that. Life only has purpose as much as we give it purpose, When you think of taxes and stuff like that, it only has value because we ourselves give it value. When you think of rules and the social construct and other constructs, like jobs, social environments and things like that, other people such as yourselves, made of the same flesh and blood as yourselves, made those rules for you. We're all human. There's only so much, there's only so much that we should put much strain on ourselves. It only has value because we give it value. A dollar should not dictate our lives and how we get to live, and with people of high power dictating how people with minimal power get to live. I don't think that's the way life should be lived. I don't think life should be working a job, paying taxes, following these rules. You could argue that these rules are rules that keep us safe, but not every rule. Not all laws are good. You should never use the laws to dictate whether you're doing good or wrong, because those laws haven't always done good. There's more to life than the way that we're currently living, and I don't think us as humans should waste our lives living the way that we're currently living. Some people may not, watch this video. I'm just doing this because, I'm alone by myself most of the time, and I think a lot. I put notes on paper. I put notes on my phone, but I've never talked about these notes, and I feel like it's important that other people should know the way that I think, because everyone's opinion counts, regardless of how much money you make, how powerful you are, how much pull that you have. I just don't think the way that we're living is valuable. When you think of value and you think of life, you should think about going to explore, having fun. I haven't done any research, but I'm pretty sure there's been civilizations that have succeeded without dollars, without the value of a dollar dictating how we get to live, because of another human, because of how another human has dictated our lives to live. Because bringing back to the point of a dollar, you could argue that I'm just saying this because I'm broke or whatever. But when you really think about it, people are waking up risking their lives, and all of a sudden, and in this current state of world that we're in, a dollar is everything. As I've been told many times, money rules the world. But I just don't like it. It just doesn't sit right in my mind about how we had to do all this for a piece of paper, when people can create it out of like that. Same thing goes for digital currency. All it is a number. All it is math. you know, we it only has value because we as humans gave it value, because we all collectively decide whether or not you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, that you're doing this, you know, to live, because that's the way, you know, life has been set for. You know, me as a person, you know, I'm 17. You know, I'm about to graduate high school. I'm a junior. You know, I have some stuff I want to do. You know, I have a clothing brand I want to start to, you know, spread the message that we have to come as a collective to, you know, make the world a better place. Yeah, you could ask me all these questions about how I would do such things, and, you know, how I would, you know, spread the message. But, you know, there's our differences shouldn't separate us. You know, for example, you know, using music. You know, there's music from all parts of the world, and there's people who listen to all different types of music. It should be just like that, because it's basically the same thing. The music is people. Music is people, and the people that listen to it, you know, are gathering with all these people. I don't see the benefit in hating each other, and just we're all on this earth together, whether or not we like it. And I think we should all live together, you know, and in peace. I just don't think that there should be such hate, you know. But when you think of living life, when you ask somebody, you know, how's your life been, what do most people think of, you know? Oh, how's their job going, you know? Do they have any money, you know? Are they having fun socially, or, you know, in the environment they're in? You know, I just don't think our existence should be so dependent on this dollar, because there's so many things that could go wrong with it, and you know, the same goes for the other part. There's so many good things about it, but, you know, it's just not a good thing to put the strain on ourselves of, you know, making this dollar. It has too many problems. It has too many problems to be able to, you know, to be fully, I don't know the word for it, but to be fully, you know, inherited into our society, you know. I just, and going back to the coexistence point, I think everybody should live in this world, you know, being together as one, because that's who we are, regardless of skin color, regardless of how tall you are, regardless of how much you weigh, regardless of your you know, IQ or brain power. We're all human. We're all the same flesh and blood, and we all live on this earth together. We all have minds. We should all be able to, you know, think for ourselves, and not, you know, depend on the use of social media. We live in the most knowledgeable, you know, era of society, and yet we're so blind to the real world, with the real world being so dependent on the dollar, and with people hating each other just because they look different. If you were to go back down your family tree, regardless if you're the same race, everybody would look different. So why not hate yourself? Why hate somebody else just because they're black, or just because, you know, they're Asian or brown or white? I just don't see the sense in that. You know, maybe some fostered hate that we all have for one another. Me particularly, I don't foster hate. You know, I try my best. I try my best to treat everybody with the same kindness that I would want to receive, regardless of skin color, regardless of stereotypes. Stereotypes are just something that, you know, people think of one another, and it's a shared idea of what people have of each other. You know, why not think for yourselves? Why are you following the stereotypes that other people set for you? You know, I myself, I can't tell you how to live, because I don't even know how to live myself. You know, my life's barely just started. You know, why should you judge others when you're not perfect yourself? Nobody's perfect, so why do we judge each other? Why do we judge each other with hate, instead of, you know, trying to share the and try to give, you know, I also forgot the word, but it's, you know, it's an opinion to help you better yourself. When you're listening to coaches and they give you ideas because you're doing it wrong, because you're doing it wrong, and they want you to succeed. They want you to do the best that you can. I just don't see the point in how we're living. I really hope this video reaches others, and they think the same way that I think. I just feel like we need to change, or it's gonna be the end of humanity soon. Not trying to sound smart or anything, but I just like, if these differences keep setting us apart, there's no point of living all together, because there's only one Earth. We're all humans on the same place. I just think there's so much more I just think there's so much more to life than this.